At some point in your life, you felt it. Not lost like you took a wrong turn. Lost like you don't know what you're doing. Like everyone else got a map and yours never arrived. You're doing fine on paper. You wake up. You go through the motions. But something inside you keeps asking a question you can't answer. We have entire industries for this feeling. Therapy, life coaches, personality tests, vision boards. None of it fully works. Because if it worked, we wouldn't need more every year. So here's the question nobody thinks to ask. What did people do before any of this existed? What did a human being do when they felt like their life had no direction? The answer is stranger, older, and more useful than anything on any bestseller list. For a long time, researchers assumed ancient humans didn't get lost, not in the emotional sense. They thought survival left no room for identity crisis. Every waking hour was food, shelter, predators. But that assumption turns out to be wrong. Very wrong. Again, because archaeologists have been finding the same thing everywhere they dig. Evidence that ancient humans didn't just survive. They questioned. They searched. Let's start 40,000 years ago. In what is now southern France, deep inside a cave called Lascaux, someone painted the walls. Not near the entrance. Not where the light reached. They went deep, into total darkness. They painted bulls, horses, deer, hundreds of them, in a place you had to choose to go. Archaeologist David Lewis Williams spent decades studying these caves. His conclusion, they weren't just making art. They were going somewhere, into darkness to find something. In virtually every ancient culture on Earth, when a person felt lost, there was a prescribed answer. And it was always some version of the same thing. Go alone, into the unknown, and don't come back until something changes. Among the Lakota people of North America, young men would climb to a high place alone, without food or water, sometimes for 4 days, and ask the universe a single question. What am I here for? The Lakota believed that isolation stripped away everything that wasn't you. What was left was the real thing. In Australia, Aboriginal young men practiced the walkabout. They would leave their community for months, traveling alone through the outback, retracing the ancient songlines of their ancestors. The Aboriginal people believed the entire Australian landscape was sung into existence by their ancestors. The songlines are the routes those ancestors traveled while singing. To walk the songlines was to remember who made you, and in remembering that, to remember who you were. Here's where modern neuroscience catches up with what ancient people already knew. When you remove constant stimulation, a part of your brain called the default mode network activates. This is responsible for self-reflection, for asking who you are. It only activates when you're not doing anything else. Not scrolling, not working, not reacting. The ancient people didn't have the word for it, but they built entire spiritual systems around forcing it to turn on. But going alone wasn't the whole answer. When a lost person came back, something was waiting for them. The elder. In almost every traditional society ever studied, there was a designated person whose entire job was to help the lost find their way back. Not by giving answers, by asking the right questions. I see you. I know what you're going through. I went through it too, and you'll come out the other side. What the elder was providing is something psychology wouldn't formally name until the 1950s. Narrative continuity. The idea that being lost is not a permanent state. It's a chapter, not the whole book. There was a third thing. Beyond going alone, beyond the elder. There was the ritual, and it was the most important part. In 2019, archaeologists found a circular stone structure in Israel's Negev Desert. 12,000 years old. No cooking, no sleeping. Just fire pits and markings on the walls. They came there to mark moments, to transform one state into another using ceremony. Anthropologist Arnold van Gennep called this liminality, the space between who you were and who you're becoming. You were supposed to feel lost. It wasn't a problem to fix. It was a process to survive. The community said, "We are not afraid of your confusion. We expected it." And then something changed. We built cities. We built schedules, and being lost became something to be ashamed of. We replaced the elder with a search engine, the vision quest with a personality test, the ritual with a weekend seminar. None of these are wrong, but they skip the essential ingredient: time, discomfort, sitting with not knowing. Here's what happened when ancient people came back from being lost. They didn't come back fixed. They came back changed. The Maasai people of East Africa have a warrior initiation lasting months. At the end, they don't just have a new identity. They have a story. A person who has been lost and found their way back has something no book can give you. They know they can survive not knowing. Think about the last time you felt truly lost. The deep kind. The kind that sat with you for weeks. What did you do with it? If you're like most modern people, you try to outrun it. But it came back. Because being lost isn't a malfunction. It's a signal. A signal that you've outgrown the current version of yourself and haven't yet become the next one. The ancient people knew this because they had seen it before. In their parents, in their grandparents, in the elders who walked the same confusion and came out with a story to tell. In 2017, psychologist Scott Barry Kaufman published research on psychological richness. Not happiness, not success, richness. The people who reported the most meaningful lives weren't the happiest. They were the most changed. The cave paintings at Lascaux weren't decoration. They were proof. Proof that someone went into the dark and came back with something worth putting on a wall. 75,000 years of human beings feeling exactly what you're feeling. And every single one of them found a way through. Not around. Through. The question they were really asking on those mountaintops in those caves under open skies wasn't, what do I do with my life? It was something simpler. Am I enough to become who I need to be? And the answer the universe gave them is the same one it's offering you. Right now, if you go quiet enough to hear it. You already are. You just have to go through the part that proves it. Being lost didn't stop ancient humans. It started them. And it might be doing the same thing for you. If you let it.